All right, guys, it's Venia here from the Spiritual Lounge, and let's get this party started, right? Today is Tuesday the 12th, and I listened to all of you guys who were sticking like voodoo pins and dolls at me because I didn't come on yesterday. Stop doing that, okay? I actually said either Monday and then I changed it because I don't know. I got this flash or something. I said Monday or Tuesday, and the timestamp person actually put Monday or Tuesday too. So, because a couple of you made comments, but actually, let me just tell you this. Yesterday, because after the Grands left, I said that I was going to call my doctor to get something addressed. So I have a plate and 9 screws in this arm. And it's really been giving me a lot of problems lately. I'm like in constant sort of pain with it, but it's not like the achy kind of pain. It's like, I think personally, I kind of was shown it's one of the screws doing something. So I said I was going to call as soon as they left. I called yesterday and I'm thinking, okay, they'll give me an appointment like in 2 weeks. And they were like, can you come in today? And I'm like, yeah. So I went in and I've got a bunch of x rays set up to take, which I'm going to go do as soon as this video is done. But here's the funny thing. Mercury ended its retrograde on the 11th at 3:30 a.m., right? So I am so sure that has a lot to do with me being able to get a same day appointment, which we all know is rare, if almost non-existent, right? And also probably the wonderful other side is once this issue addressed, and so it's kind of getting it, taken care of in a expedited fashion. So that all being said, I'm here. It's Tuesday, and the timestamp bandit says that things have kind of leveled out for them, and that they're willing to do the original timestamp bandit, right? Weekends, because they also realize that there's been someone else, our wonderful detective, has been doing them so brilliantly. So there, she's not trying to step on anyone's toes. So she said if they want to do during the week, she'll take the weekend video. So hopefully that's amenable to them, to detective. Um, you guys can, duke it out. But I just so appreciate, you guys doing it, period. I really do. I certainly wouldn't be doing it for my own videos. I don't look at my videos. I just don't. I don't look at them. I damn sure I'm not going to go through and timestamp myself. I don't want to see myself. Honestly, what I do after each video is I just play a little bit of it just to make sure the sound is good. That's it. And even that much of seeing myself, those first few seconds is like, ugh. But so I appreciate both of you taking the time to do the timestamps. All right. Okay, so I got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of questions I'm going to be answering. But do you guys remember I told you that this country will go into a recession? And this was back when we were still kind of doing good from the Biden economy. Excuse me. So, Moody's, they are ready to just about declare that we are in an official recession. And the Trump administration is going to hate that. There's going to be a lot of pushback on that. But there's really nothing that they can do. Moody's is the standard for that type of thing. And they are an independent. So they can't control, this administration can't control what Moody says. And they're going by several factors. For those of you that don't know, and I don't know all the factors, but they had several factors have been met that going, we're actually probably in it now. And it's going to get a little bit worse, I believe. I don't think we're going to get into a depression per se. I don't see that, but I definitely saw that we're going to be in a recession. And it's going to last for a while, like a good almost year. Which actually, although no downturn in the economy is ever good, it's just one more thing to say, hey, Republicans never know what they're doing when they're in office. Okay, they just don't have a clue. They ruin the economy always, um, and they just don't know how to lead or govern. And this is just one more factor proving that. I'm gonna switch glasses out here. I don't like to keep pushing up my glasses. I just think it's rude and it's a pain in the butt. Okay, so that's going to happen soon. Turns out the Texas Democrats cannot be arrested by the FBI. The FBI knows this. It's basically kind of called their bluff. There is no law or in the books for that. And technically, they really didn't break the law, so the FBI can't get involved, and Bondi knows that. Um, so, you know. By the way, did you guys, if you haven't seen it, please go take a look at the press conference where they all stood up there, including Cash Patel. Take a look at him. What was that we saw? What was he doing? I what was that? You've got it. It's in the last day or two. Um, that big press conference. I don't know whether he was super high or whether he was disgusted by what was being said, or he just realized, you know what, I sold my soul to a madman. Or maybe it's all three combined, right? But anyway, you've got to take a look at his facial expressions. You just can't buy um, that nightmare look that he had. All right. Former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan of Georgia has switched, and he is now a Democrat. And I'm going to tell you something about him. I spoke about him in one of my videos, probably back in December, November, December. Um, and he is a man of integrity. He was lieutenant governor of Georgia, Republican. It's very few people, very few Republicans that I respect. Adam Kingslinger is one of them. Um, Liz Cheney's another one. Now, granted, I don't agree with their politics. Okay, I don't. I am not conservative leaning, probably in any facet of my life. Okay. Um, but there's very few Republicans that I actually respect. Those two, and Jeff Duncan is another one. He has been extremely vocal in his dislike of Trump. He has been extremely vocal in his criticism of Trump. And he just up and completely switched parties. And if he were to run in an election that I could vote on, I would probably vote for him. I've seen the man. I have read his vibes and I have heard him talk, and he has integrity, true integrity. Okay, so good for him. Ghislaine's, someone said I shouldn't pronounce the S. I don't know how to pronounce it. Don't even really care. You guys know what I'm talking about. Miss Maxwell, her ex cellmate said that she had dirt on Trump, and which we all know she does, right? And I told you in my very last video that she is a snake, and she will flip flop till the bitter end. Um, and she has no integrity. She is all out for self. She is one of the biggest perpetrators of the S&A that went on for all those years with Epstein. Now, I noticed that my last video, got significant less viewers than all my other ones. And I did talk extensively about the whole Epstein thing and the files and this and that. So I don't know if YouTube was doing something, whatever. That's fine. Because a few of my comments, people made comments, were removed, and they verified that from the last video. And that's fine. I'm going to let my guys handle that. I'm going to let them handle that and keep on speaking out. And I'm not going to punk out with what I have to say. So, okay. Also, I told you guys about Australia, right? And they've been in the news several times since I mentioned them with the rocket failure. And then they had they had very large protests. Okay. Well, they did something else that was pretty interesting and very noteworthy. They made a huge deal with China, not only on trade, but with immigration. They have not been partners in this way for ever, if ever. They resumed they started up trade deals and immigration policies between the two countries. And I also told you guys a while ago that the United States, what it's doing, this administration, by isolating everybody, is actually opening up corridors for other countries that needed to happen. Okay, so, and this is one of those examples, all right? And we will get to the point where we're in sort of like there's just like a one world type of trade, a flowing between all countries, okay? And the United States will be a part of that eventually, all right? It's just now, while this temporary nightmare is here, but we will be a part of that. Things will be much better, much more open with all countries. And it's getting to that point. But this isolationist actions by the United States has spurred that. Okay? So it's actually creating a good trade corridor between the world. Okay? It needed to do this, believe it or not. And then eventually we will get back in the fray of that. And there'll be many more corridors open. And it'll just be a much better scenario. Okay? So, I had made a prediction. Oh, back up off that. We've had several earthquakes since I'm not going to say several. I need to say dozens and dozens of earthquakes. The latest one was on the 12th, which is today. Indonesia had a pretty large one, 6.5. Russia continues to have them daily. If you go to the U.S. USGS.gov, earthquake.usgs.gov, you will see that, oh wow, another one just popped up. So the Tonga had a 5.5. There was one in New Mexico. These are all the 12th. Russia had several on the 12th. Indonesia had one, two, three. They had a 6.5 and then they had a 5.0, 4.5. Japan had a 5.4 in Kashiro. Russia had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 on the 12th. Puerto Rico had a 3.0. The Philippines had a 5.3. Alaska had a 3.0. This shaking that I saw worldwide is just going to continue, and it's going to be a little bit worse. Get a little bit worse before it stops and subsides, okay? And the storm that I predicted coming, that if it does hit Florida, it will hit it the complete state of Florida. It looks like it started up. It's building up. It is almost a hurricane. They are predicting it will be at its strongest by Saturday. I truly want to be completely 100% wrong on this. I really do. But I also saw that the good out of it will be there will be a change in how the insurance is regulated, and the whole insurance scenario. Right now, insurance in Florida on your homes and property, it's either extremely expensive, higher than anywhere else, or just you're unable to get it. There's so many insurance companies that have left the state of Florida. So that would be the reason for it to get devastated like it is, okay? How it is now is unsustainable, all right? So if you're in Florida and it does look like it's going to impact Florida, just do whatever you need to do to protect your home, your cars, your property, etc. One of my cousins is there, and she was telling me that there are several department stores who are on an upper level that allow people to park on, the upper level of their parking lot. So that's one thing you can do. Of course, if you have a garage, use it for your cars. Don't assume they'll be safe. But just please take precautions if you can. All right. I just hope, in one sense, I'm totally wrong on this one. But on the other hand, I would like to see the insurance situation addressed for those who live in Florida. So I'm kind of like, ugh. And I feel that that's the only way it would get addressed. So, it's a bittersweet type of situation. Okay. By the way, doesn't my voice sound stronger? I'm getting there, folks. Some of you have asked about the black aliens. So NASA says there's a gentleman that came out and said that there were black looking aliens that emerged from a ship. They were over 7 feet tall. And they basically someone was asking, was that true? So here's the thing. I've told you guys. Well, in my book, my first book, I write about one of my past lives. I was on another planet, and I was a what would be considered a black person on this planet, except there were many other races, not just black. There was green colored. There was all different colors on this planet, and race wasn't really a factor on this planet. There was other things that were a priority to these people. Race wasn't it at all. But there are so many different hues, ethnicities out amongst our ET brothers and sisters. Okay, there are many different hues of the humanoid type, but also there's many different types, period. Some are not humanoid, many are not humanoid. Okay, so is it possible? Absolutely, they exist. Absolutely. And that's, there's a lot to that. There has been dominant black looking races that have been in space and traveled and met with different races. Just like you have your Nordics, um, um, and other races. Okay, so there's we are seeded from these different types out there. Okay, this is like one of the places where it's a true melting pot because we have the different hues here. Okay, there's a lot of planet where there's just one hue, um, and sort of different variations of that hue, but and then you have your true melting pots, and Earth is one of the true melting pots. And a lot of people here bring their racial purity sense of racial purity here, subconsciously. Okay, and that's why you have a lot of these white supremacists think that they should be the only ones here, right? Because a lot of them are from a place that um, you know where they are the only basic race. Okay, um, and then you have many the black power thing, right? Attitude. It's because they're from a place where the black is the dominant or only race, and that's all they're used to. And I know for a fact there is the same with like Japanese, the Asian race. Okay, especially the Japanese, because I happened to see um, a planet that was, I'll just say, very Japanese looking, uh, and I can actually tell them apart because I was able to see this particular planet. There, they were the dominant and only race on that planet. So a lot of people get their sense of racial pride and attitude because they are from places that are predominantly that race, or that's the only race there is, right? But what happens is when they get here, they turn it into a negative, okay? They take it beyond that pride into want to alienate or extinct the other races, okay? When in reality, they should be learning to blend and to merge with the other races in a harmonious fashion. and tolerance. Okay? So a lot of the racism that we see is people bringing in these subconscious race memories of life on other planets where they are the predominant and only race. And they've taken it way too far. They don't have a balanced attitude with it. All right, so that's one of the things that I wanted to address. Now, someone asked about DC and martial law. So when I asked about that, I was really expecting sort of another answer. But the answer I got was quite unexpected about this administration declaring martial law in DC. It has, we all know it's has nothing to do with the crime in DC. He doesn't give a crap about that. And the crime is not as bad as they're saying it is. Okay? And it's not even a distraction from the Epstein files, which is kind of was the answer I was expecting. The answer that I received was that there is a serious threat that they're aware of, okay, regarding the politicians and the White House, okay? And that is the reason for the troops being there. And there's a very credible threat. Okay? So, like I said, it's unexpected. It wasn't what I expected either. Has nothing to do with the distraction. Has nothing to do with crime in DC or whatever. They need the National Guard there for protection. All right? And as for them trying to do it in other states, no, that's not going to even factor in. It's not going to happen. And it's not even to enact martial law. It's literally a serious threat that they're aware of. Okay? So, hey. So, a lot of people asked about alligator Alcatraz and what would happen if the storm came. Well, I don't know if a lot of you are aware of this, but a judge halted further construction of alligator Alcatraz. So these people, most of them are being moved to Louisiana. Okay, so it looks like they're going to be okay. And remember, if it is not in their soul spirit contract to be harmed by a storm or whatever, they're not going to be. All right? But they are being moved to Louisiana. There's a facility set up there. They're being moved there. And I think that the place that they're at now, there's also issues with it. Construction type issues, besides the fact that they were told to halt construction by a federal judge. Okay? So, let's see. A lot of people, when I talked about, in my last video about COVID upgrade, they were like, well, what does the upgrades mean when they upgrade us? Well, I explained a lot of that in the last video, so I'm not going to really rehash over that. You've got to kind of maybe re-listen to it again. Remember, it's time-stamped, so you can go, it's the top pinned comment. You can go and kind of listen to that. um, but an upgrade, a tweaking, a tuning up, um, you know, a hardier body, able to withstand more, um, more youthful appearance, um, and a lot of that is necessary because Earth changes, right? Everything is always changing. So the Earth changes, um, the sun, rays hit us different than they did, decades or hundreds of years ago. And so, maybe our skin needs an upgrade or our body systems in fighting diseases gets upgraded. We're not as susceptible to certain diseases. A tweaking, okay? And they do that in many different ways. They can do that, blanketly cover the air. They can, um, you know, put stuff mass in like our water systems. Even the rays that are sent from the sun could do a little tweaking. They have many different methods how they do that. But anyway, like I said, I would advise you to go, listen to the last video I did and just go down to the part where I talked about the upgrades. Okay, will Trump ever be held accountable? I've addressed this so many times, so I'll just cover briefly. It's not up to me or anyone to worry about if he will be held accountable. Someone mentioned that there was one content creator that claimed that Trump was an angel, that he was here to create this chaos. Let's see if I can find the exact question here. Let's see. Okay, here it is. I've come across some psychics, channelers, etc., who say we must remain neutral to what Trump is doing, which I've tried to tell everyone to do. Observe, but don't absorb. But a lot of people are not at that point where they can do that yet, and I understand because you're being constantly bombarded with all this negativity. But that is just further proof that you need to observe and not absorb, because that constant bombardment can crush you at some point. But also, a lot of what is happening, it either doesn't stay, doesn't stick, and I noticed that as soon as something happens, people are right on the channel making comment. Oh my God, this happened, and then within like a week, it's no longer valid, or it's been undone, or you know. But anyway, okay, so must remain neutral to what Trump is doing. Some even say he is a special sort of angel brought here to destroy everything so the golden age can manifest. Um, Although I know we need a dissolution of centuries old systems, I can't see him as an angel. What do your guides say, please? So, I'm going to tell you what I've been told from the very beginning about him. He is a test of integrity. Okay? He is not an angel per se. First of all, angels don't incarnate. Okay? No matter what anyone tells you, they don't incarnate. Angels are of an essence where they don't incarnate. Their essence is too high and too rarefied to incarnate. they can dip in and dip out, but actual incarnations they don't do. I've seen the angelic realm. I was privy to it, but not a part of it or inside of it. I was too dense, even as a spiritual entity, to be a part of it. The angelic realm is the one of the most rarefied atmospheres, um, and type of beings. Okay, but anyway, he is not an angel. Okay, but he is a spirit that was definitely given a special mission. He is a test of our integrity to bring out the absolute worst in people, um, and to see, test their level of pure negativity, pure evil. Okay? And basically, if you go along with him, side with him, you've got some work to do. And he's also been a measure of karma. So notice how I've told you guys before, a lot of people that have dealt with him, that have been in a line with him, that have done his dirty deeds, they're all suffering in one way or the other. Some of them have went to jail, to prison. Um, some of them have actually passed, um, as far as their life goes. Some of them have went bankrupt, lost their law licenses, etc. Okay, so there's hell to pay if you follow this person. Okay, you can measure your core decency by if you support him or not. Okay, so he is the absolute worst in humanity, and it brings out the worst in people. All right. So, no, he is not an angel, but he is a test of our integrity. Okay, someone asked about the Sudanese immigrants um, that were taken. There weren't many, and I see that they were dispersed somehow, and they're going to find their way to freedom. Okay. Um, I felt okay about them. I felt totally okay about them. Um, Someone asked about a person named Amy Bradley. Um, I did not know who they were. I briefly looked it up because I didn't want to be swayed either way, and all I managed to read was that she disappeared from a cruise ship a while ago. The answer that I received about her was I did not see that she was deceased. I don't see that she's deceased. And I actually don't see her being confined anymore. Like, she has a sense of freedom about her right now. Maybe initially she had experienced some sort of confinement or something, but I don't see that now, and I don't see that she's deceased. Now, I don't know any more about the situation other than she disappeared off this cruise ship. So that's what I see. I don't see her energy as deceased. Okay. Let's see. think there's one more that I wanted to talk about. Oh, and as far as the guard being in DC, you guys know that there's already protesters there, which is a wonderful thing because it's kind of like gauge for this administration. Hey, this shit's not going to be tolerated. But like I said, they're not there for what we think. They're there for actual protection of these politicians and the White House. So, okay. Um, let's see. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I covered everything that all the questions I was going to cover today. I don't get to everyone. Sorry, just don't have the time. And, um, I do these just, trying to be as informative as I can, but my companions also have a purpose that they want um, delivered on too. So I've kind of got to make everybody happy, right? One thing I wanted to talk about, or they wanted me to talk about, was does meditation um, and, doing different rituals help, um, you know, help us spiritually, help us to be connected or more connected? And the answer is we are always connected as long as our spiritual essence is still connected to this body. We are never disconnected. Now, some of those aids can, the meditation, the chanting, the incense, or whatever else people do, um, can help tone down and quiet our human brain, right? So that we can be more receptive to our spiritual whisperings. Our spiritual whisperings, you have to understand that they are, in essence, spiritual, right? So they are of a finer texture, of a finer density, okay? So they need the human brain to be less active or less focused on the density in order to be able to sense and read those finer spiritual essences that our spirit sends us, right? But they're not, those methods are not necessary, okay? And anyone who has ever read my first book, I have a whole chapter on meditation telling you I don't meditate. I just don't. I can't do it. I'm just not a good meditator in the traditional sense. Um, but I do know how to dive in, so to speak, and focus on that finer essence of spiritual energy that's always there, always there. It's never not there. And I focus in on that, and I've learned how to read that energy. I've learned how to feel that energy, and it feels much different and much lighter than my actual human emotions, my actual human impulses, right? It's an extremely light, finer energy, but it's always, always there. Okay? And when I say to you, because I've said it several times, just your acknowledgement of love or spirit or the spiritual essence is enough. At times, it is enough just to bring it into your mind's eye, right? And that's enough to kind of widen the channel. The more acknowledgement you give that finer essence, spiritual energy, it widens that channel and you can read it better. You can read it much better. So, none of those methods are necessary, although some are very helpful. And by all means, if it helps you, continue. By all means. But it's so not a must to do. Okay? That spiritual flow flows all the time. It's always there. It does not, it doesn't go away. It doesn't desert you. It's there. Always. Our focus may not be on it at all times. Our awareness of it may not be there all the time, but it's there. Okay? It's there. Okay? And I, keep telling you guys, the pulse of divine, harmonious love is continuous. It doesn't end. If it even ended for a nanosecond, all of creation existence would collapse. Okay? And I'm firm in that. I've seen it. I know it for a fact. Okay, so anyway, thanks for joining me, and you can take those pins out, those voodoo dolls. I redeemed myself. And thank you all for just sticking with me, and to anyone new here, thanks for joining in. And until we meet again, which will probably be soon, I'm not going to give you guys an exact date, but I shall return soon. And take care, everyone.